up, y'all? It's TCustomz, music producer and CEO of TCustomz Productions. So this is going to be a tutorial on basically how to chop samples in Ableton Live. I had some people asking me about, how to go in here and manually, set up markers and slice a sample up. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and I'm also going to show you how to create a custom slice preset, as well as enable a choke group, which we'll get into exactly what that is. So I've got an audio track and a MIDI track. I'm just gonna drop in the sample that I'm gonna chop. I'm gonna drop that in the audio track. So you can see that as soon as I drop that in, Ableton tries to recognize like the tempo and tries to do its best at go ahead and adding markers in there. So these are basically warp markers, these yellow tags here at the top. But what you want to do is, to pick where you want to chop it, you want to go in here and put these in yourself. Basically, ultimately what you're going to be doing through Ableton is slicing by the warp marker. So you can have Ableton slice for you. It can go in and slice per beat or per count or per half count, quarter count, 8 count, whatever. But ultimately what you want to do is go in here and be able to tell it where you want it to chop. So we're going to do that using warp markers. So the first thing I'm going to do with this, since it's already detected, it's already put in warp markers, I'm going to unwarp it, and then I'm going to rewarp it just to get it back where we can put warp markers back in. So then you can see that those are all cleared and it starts back from the beginning. So I'm going to play this and figure out exactly where I want to put. I'm just going to play from the beginning. So if I go back, start that again. So I want that hit right there. So you can see, I don't know if you can see, but it actually what they call transients. It actually tries to go through and detect it. It analyzes the WAV file and goes ahead, and you can actually there's actually another way to slice. You can slice per transient. All these little white tags in here, it will slice per that. So a lot of times on the hits, if it's a big hit, it's easy to detect on a drum, a kick snare, or whatever. You can usually see the transient about right where you want to hit the put your warp marker. So this is right about there. And if I wanted it a little bit before, I could set that to. So that's my first one that I wanted. That's gonna be my second one. There, I'm gonna put a chop there. Okay. And then, so right now I'm just gonna do those four chops, and then sometimes what I do at the end of the last whatever it is, I'll just go ahead and, even though I don't want that sample, it's gonna basically end the last one, so it'll cut off. So I've got the warp markers put in place. So now all you do on the audio file that you drug into the audio track, right click and select slice to new MIDI track. And again, like I was saying before, you can tell it how you want it to slice. What we're wanting to do is slice per warp marker, but if you go in here, you can see transient. You can set per bar, half note, quarter note, whatever it is, and you can have it automatically do it. You don't have to do any of this manual stuff. But and then, so you've got it set to warp marker. You want to slice per warp marker, and then slicing preset. There's a lot of, with Ableton, they have a set number of presets that come with it. You can use one of those. I'm just going to use one that I do for mine, and then I'll show you in a minute how to actually create your own. So I'm just going to pick one, hit OK. It'll actually tell you how many slices you have too. So I'm going to hit OK. So you can see it created a new MIDI track, and it actually puts the MIDI notes in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that track, because you don't want that. You want to actually be able to manipulate yourself. So Just make sure you have that track armed here. And now if you have a MIDI controller hooked up, I mean, you should be able to. So, um, so yeah, I mean, I sliced that. For those who don't know, this Ableton uses drum racks to slice, and you can see here when I did that right click slice the MIDI track, it puts it in a drum rack, and that's what this is. It's basically, you know, the 4x4, and then um, you know, whenever you map it to your drum pad, as you scroll up, it will um, auto map to your 4x4 drum pad. So right now I've got it set on these, so it's mapped. Now if I put it up here and try to play, it's not going to play anything because I don't have anything, you know, I don't have anything sliced there. So that I kind of like that about Ableton. So I showed you how to manually slice a sample. So now I want to show you how to create a custom slice preset and enable a choke group. The choke group is going to help you. It basically is how when a new sample is triggered, it cuts off the previous sample. So if you set a choke group, whatever samples are within that choke group will be cut off when the next sample is triggered. So a lot of sample-based producers like to use that technique so they don't have any overlay. Whenever they hit a new sound, then it just cuts off whatever was playing before. So let me show you how to do that. So I've got this MIDI track here, and again, like I mentioned, Ableton uses drum racks to slice samples. So what you're gonna want to do first thing is go to Instruments and drag over a new drum rack into the MIDI track. And now what you have is you have an option. You can either use a simpler or a sampler, and that's basically what control you're going to have over your samples once they're chopped. And if I go back to the sample that I chopped before, you can see that this actually, I had it set up because it was, like I said before, it was a custom preset that I had made. I'm actually using a sampler, and in my opinion, a sampler gives you more control over the samples individually or group wise. So you can choose, you know, just look at what you know, sampler, simpler. Just figure out what you want to use. I'll just show you how to do a sampler because just I like it more. So again, I drug over the drum rack. Now I take a sampler, a new instance of a sampler, and drag it into C1, the first pad on the drum rack. Now from here, you can change any of these settings, and any settings that you change within the sampler will be saved with your preset. So I'll just go ahead and throw out just one that I'm pretty sure that a lot of sample-based producers will use, is the release. So if you go to the sampler and go over to Filter Global and take the release, by default it's set at 50 milliseconds, which means 50 milliseconds after you let go of the pad or the controller, it's going to stop. So a lot of people like to touch the pad or touch the keys or whatever, and it just play through until the sample stops. So what you want to do for that is take this release all the way up, and the max is 60 seconds. So just take it all the way up. And again, there's a lot of settings in here you can change to your preference. I mean, for right now, I'm just gonna show you this, and then you can tailor it to whatever you want to do. So release at 60, and then what I was talking about before was the choke group, which means you trigger a new sample, it's gonna cut off the previous one. And so basically you put all the same samples in a choke group, and that's how that works. So with this, creating a preset, you just put it in the main sampler in the first pad or the simpler, whatever you're using. Just set the choke group up, and then how many ever samples, it will go ahead and apply the same settings to everything that's chopped. So let me show you what I did. This is in the show hide chain list. So click that in the drum rack, and then click the IO, the input output there, and then that will bring up, if you have the sampler selected, you'll see the choke here. So it doesn't matter what they give you 16 choke groups. It doesn't matter what one you use. Just I'll pick the first one. And that sets up your choke group. Now everything that's sliced will cut off. As you trigger a new sound, the previous one will be cut off. So that's it. I mean, that's it. Again, that's basic. If you want to add more settings, you can add effects. You can add all kinds of stuff in these. But that's the the core principle behind it. So then all you do once you have that set up, click the Save Preset button right here, and I already created one before, so I'm gonna call this Temp Slice 02. And so now, once you have that created, the only thing you need to do is then drop that into a particular slice folder. That's where your slice options are found. So if you go to the Ableton library, click on defaults folder, and then slicing is a subfolder of defaults. That's where all your slicing presets are going to be. And you can see most of these are default, and then I created this one and I created this one earlier, just playing around. So I'm gonna go back to this drum rack and drag that slice preset 02 over into this slicing folder. And so now you can see it right here. So now if I go back to the same sample, I still got the warp markers and everything set up. If I right click and do the slice to new MIDI track again, warp marker, and then go down, now you'll see my temp slice 02 is there. So I can just select that, hit OK. It's gonna do the same thing it did before. Just delete that track there, and now and if you had any other effects, like you put delay or reverb, you could put that in there, and those would automatically be done. You could have a default reverb, or if you do something standard for every time you chop, you may want to put reverb in it, just it automatically does it or whatever. So but that's pretty much it. I'll be happy to help with anything else. If you guys have any other questions, any more specific questions, drop me a message, comment. Please subscribe if you like this, because I'll do more of these. And again, if you guys can give me input is exactly what you want me to put up, I'll be happy to do that. So subscribe to the channel. You can visit my website at TCustomz.com. That'll be in the description. I've got a bunch of free drum kits. Any of the producers who are making music, I've got drum kits for you guys to use. Beats, I'm going to be putting up instrumentals on the regular. So any artists that are interested, stop by my website, join my newsletter, get some free stuff and whatever. But I'm out right now. Again, drop me a message. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.